They say good girls follow the rules. They smile, they show up, they keep it together. But you, we know behind that polished exterior, there's a whole lot of anxiety. Hi, I'm Sam, chronic overthinker and host of Good Girls Have Anxiety. This podcast is for anyone who's ever looked calm on the outside, but was secretly spiraling over that one text they sent 3 days ago. Each week, we dive into the messy, hilarious, and sometimes uncomfortable truth about mental health, people-pleasing, boundaries, burnout, and why saying no still makes some of us sweat like we're on trial. We're talking real talk, zero fluff, just honest conversations with a few laughs, and maybe a bit of swearing, or a lot of swearing. Because being a good girl doesn't always mean you're okay all the time. And having anxiety doesn't make you any less powerful, lovable, or worthy. This is Good Girls Have Anxiety. Take a breath, unclench your jaw. You're in the right place.
Welcome to Good Girls Have Anxiety, the podcast. Today's guest is someone who has turned one of their most painful chapters of their life into a powerful message of healing and truth. Jenifer Faison is a daytime Emmy-winning producer, now creator and host of the hit podcast Betrayal, where she courageously shares her experience of discovering her husband's double life and the emotional aftermath that followed. Her story is raw, real, and a testament to the strength it took to reclaim her voice after devastation. On this episode of Good Girls Have Anxiety, we talk a lot about the complicated, messy, beautiful parts of being human, and Jenifer embodies that perfectly. We're honored and so excited to have her on Good Girls Have Anxiety.
Welcome, Jen.
Hi.
We're so excited.
I'm happy to be here with you guys.
We are so happy to have you here. So first, I kind of wanted to just get into talking shop with you, Jen. Obviously, you have an incredible story that you have just beautifully told on both the docuseries that's on Disney Plus now and your podcast Betrayal. We are both massive fans, so we are obviously going to dive right into that. But first, we just want to talk a little bit with you and get to know you a little bit better. So we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but now that we're recording, let's get it on the pod. But I come from working in film myself, and it was all scripted television. So I worked in the costume department. And so definitely on set, I should not say this. Hire me for prep still, please, if I am looking for it. But I don't prefer in the office. I love being on set, and because you feel like in the action. And I really wonder what on set feels with your background in reality television. Like, what does that look like on unscripted television, a day of recording? Like, do you guys have crafty and lunch breaks? And like, down to like, I know they're silly questions, but like, how does it look? Because as a viewer, it just so feels like I'm a fly on the wall. Yeah. But with my knowledge of scripted television, logistically, there's no way that you're a fly on the wall.
Right.
So with what you're willing to share, how does this work?
Well, when we're recording, I always try to really be that fly on the wall and allow the talent or the cast, whoever is being recorded, who's ever, being filmed, whether it's a renovation show or a family, group dynamic. I try to let them really, speak on their own and talk about what they would really talk about. But I love being on set too. That's my favorite part. A lot of times we do pre-production for 6 to 8 weeks, but it's when you get out in the field that's really fun, especially on like a big renovation show, because you're just running around this construction site and
are they actually renovating things live during that show? I thought, I don't know why, part of me is like, well, it has to be scripted. That's not a real renovation. Really?
I always thought it was real.
It really is. I mean, the things that I've done have been real. A lot of people say it's all scripted, it's all fake, but I don't believe that. Not in my experience. I mean, a lot of these shows, we're pretty hands off with everybody, and we're just there to document. But yes, we have craft services.
I'm like offended when people are like, "It's not real. It's scripted." I mean, I've heard of some produced reality shows that are a little bit more instigated. There's some poking and prodding.
Well, there would have to be.
It would have to be, but like. It's like when you tell like a WWE wrestler fan that like the show like that's not real, and you're like, Whoa. Like they went through a table. That's real.
I can't believe you even brought that up because that's my example. I worked with Ric Flair once, big WWE, and somebody came up to him while we were together at a restaurant and said something about wrestling being fake. And he is like, oh, no, like he has the bruises and the bumps to prove it, that stuff is
a sport. They train. It's athleticism. Like Steve will definitely, husband, will get into this debate with us. And I met Chris Jericho over the summer. And it was like the same thing when you're with like, you see them and you're like, you have a presence. There is no way anything you do is fake. I believe everything that you do. Like so they just have like this really like their presence. Like they're a performer. They're a performer. They're an athlete. They're, you know, in their trade, they train. It's
amazing.
Real. I know. I think that's also why I love like 90 Day Fiancés or like Judge Judy.
Yes.
Like that's like you're in it. You're in it. You're a part of it. You are kind of a fly on the wall. You're just trying to get the best shot.
Well,
right?
especially with Judge Judy, as an audience member, you feel like you're literally in the audience. And I feel like that's what's so awesome and captivating about those shows that have just had a runtime like nobody's business. Because truly, if you want to just put something on that's kind of brainless and just sucks you right in, man, I love me a Judge
you get
Judy.
into it. Like, and I've been rewatching some of your most recent, or some of the episodes of Jersey Shore.
Oh, sure.
Big fan.
Yeah.
But
I did the Miami season.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Because there was one episode, and I think it's The Letter. And it's around that time where like, did you produce that one, right?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Okay. Do you want to kind of summarize it?
Sure. So it was the second season of Jersey Shore, and there was some things going on with one of the cast members, and two of the other cast members took it upon themselves to write a letter, an anonymous letter to their friend to kind of let her know what was going on. And I was around for that because they got done.
Can you say who or?
Yeah. So
because I did watch this.
Nicole. Yeah.
Okay. And who was the
Jenny
letter
and
about?
Nicole, it was about Sam.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I did watch this. It was just when it was actually running. So it's been a hot minute.
Right.
Yes,
And
I remember
so
this.
They, that show is so real. We really are hands off, but they were at work and they decided they wanted to type up this letter. So we had the camera crew. We followed them to this internet cafe where they typed up a letter, and none of that was nobody told them to do that. This was all them. So I was around for that note, and I see it come back up sometimes. And it's so iconic. Funny because I'll never forget Nicole typed it in pink. She used pink. So I thought I might be giving it away a little bit, but
But you didn't tell her that.
Nope, I sure didn't.
But you look back and you're like, so for us, that would have been like our example of what like club life is going to be like.
Yes.
When that came out, like they're only about 5 to 10 years older than us. So like when that was coming out, they were in their mid-20s. So we were in our early 20s, and watching that, you're like, that's what you do when you party.
I was in high school, I will say. So I was not partying yet, but you were about to.
You feel old.
I'm sorry. And I was like, this is all going to be like.
Yeah.
And I will say, I even dressed up as Snooki one year for Halloween.
Oh, girl, I dressed up as Snooki on Friday nights. Like, I was like 21, maybe.
Because I was like, this is it. This is how we have fun. It totally was. Like, it painted that picture of like, this is what living this phase of your life should be like. Yeah. You gym, tan, and you laundry,
But it was, I don't know if like, I hope this is okay that we talk about this. Because like real talk, like I hated the way that the men spoke to the women. The grenades thing. Well, like, is that okay that we kind of talk about this, Jen?
Sure.
Okay. It was icky, dude. Like there was a situation where Mike's like, all right, well, I have these 2 girls that came home with me, but I also forgot I invited the other 2 girls. So like we're each going to split up, and then I'll try to get rid of the grenade. And like you're looking at the grenade, quote unquote. She's beautiful. Like she's gorgeous.
I love that you just rewatched Jersey Shore.
Girl,
I can tell how into this you are.
Like,
what I have to say? I mean, they're still making the show, and they now are on these family vacations together, and they've got wives and husbands and children. And it's really been amazing to see how much they've grown from when I got to work with them.
Yeah.
And they were out there partying so hard. And now, you see photos and they're with their kids and things like that. It's really nice.
And you hope they have a little bit more respect for like the women
so
now.
Sure. Well, think of what the guys you were talking to were like at that age too.
Well, yeah, if I weren't into somebody that was suddenly ugly. Like, well, you were just hitting on me a second ago. Like, now I'm a grenade? Like, well, okay. Okay.
And so because I said no?
Yeah,
right?
For real. In those instances where you're in the club filming in Jersey Shore, are you actually going to a club where people are clubbing, or do you have the club rented out and you have background performers?
Oh, no, it's all real.
Girl, it's real. Yeah. I'm so offended right now, Samantha.
I thought for sure it was a rented out club.
That's so interesting. I wouldn't have even thought.
But I think it's just because I've worked in scripted TV.
Yeah.
That all I see is when we're at a club, when we film a club scene, no viewer wants to see this because it's dead silent. The music's not going. The music is not going because you want to hear the audio of the cast performing. And so they'll put on like a click track, or they'll put on like, say, 10 seconds of the music, like and then it'll just go to clicks. So the background performers are dancing to silence.
Well, when you're in the club, you just want to hear Ronnie smacking lips with two blondes and Mike grinding.
Well, when you're in a club, it's really hard to hear anything when the music's going loud. It was not my favorite thing to do.
So the music was still up when you were going into the club.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is just making me love reality television even more.
I'm so glad you can see my smile right now because I'm like, this is amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, no, I totally viewed it like, well, this has to be fake. Like, it
would have been easier had we rented a club out.
Yeah.
But no, they really went out.
What was your favorite thing to produce? Like, maybe there's a specific episode or just like a show?
Extreme Makeover Home Edition was, that was my heart,
Was Ty Pennington very nice?
It's so nice. I've worked with him since, so we've remained in touch over the years. And everybody that ever worked on that show, I feel like we shared something and we are bonded for life. I feel like we're family because, you're on the road. Yeah, you're on the road for, 2 weeks at a time. And then you come home for a few days and you turn around and you go back out there and you're working, 14 hours a day. So you become really close. Plus, when you're doing something good for a community, I mean, it just makes everybody feel wonderful.
Totally. Absolutely. Well, yeah, I've been on shows where definitely you can feel the crew bond and it does create this family. Like when you're working that many hours a day, which also I need to put a pin in that because when you're working that many hours a day, you can't hide things easily from the people that you're working with. You can't hide how you're feeling. You can't, you're with them all hours you're awake. Like, for real.
And, I had to go back to work 2 weeks after my ex-husband's arrest.
Well, this was definitely going to be my question.
Yeah.
How was that going back to work after your husband's arrest with your whole world being shattered and then going back to a place where you can't sneak away to hide anywhere for a second at any point, and you're expected to be, especially as a producer, on, and your brain capacity is reserved for that day, that show. How the hell did you do that?
I don't know. Part of me knows that it was good that I went back to work. It got me out of the house and it got me having to think about something else because I was just sitting in my brain obsessing about everything that had happened and trying to figure out what was going on and who was this person I was married to. So, part of me appreciated the distraction, but part of me also knows that I didn't bring my best game to that show.
Well, and you couldn't have.
Yeah. And that's disappointing. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but there was nothing else I could do. I still showed up every day and I tried to be as focused as I could.
I feel like this is where the womanhood, the pressure that women put on themselves to be perfect for everybody and everything, and we need to bring our absolute A game to every situation in life. The fact that you just said that you were disappointed in yourself in the way that you went about that show just really speaks volumes. Like, you just we're going through one of the hardest imaginable situations that shatters your whole world.
It alters your life.
You showed up to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You showed up and poured into other people, and you feel that pressure that you should have done better. I don't know many men out there that would be saying the same.
No.
That's true.
Some would, for sure. I'm not ruling them all out. But I feel like that speaks volume to, your work ethic and how much you care about others, and especially in reality. Do you mind sharing what you were working on at that time?
I was working on a Bravo show, a renovation show for Bravo at the time. And I loved it. It was great. I love working with Bravo. I loved working with the company. And they were kind and supportive as much as they could be. And I just, like you said, I showed up every day, and I did, turn it on and try to do as, the best job that I could, even though I was a little distracted.
Hats off to you. A little distracted, to say the least, Jen.
What did you learn about yourself while you were in that healing process? Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes your friends show up more, sometimes your friends retract. Like, going through that, what did you learn about yourself or the other aspects of your life?
I learned that I am very loved and very cared for in my community, because I had people showing up for me every single day. And, a few weeks in, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm talking about this again. Let me know if it gets old and I'll stop. And they were like, Jenifer, don't worry about it. Just talk about it if you want it. I don't think this is ever going to get old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what
And it clearly hasn't. Here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did learn how many people really cared for me throughout it all. And I also realized about myself that I have more patience than I thought I ever did, because it was just, it was a patience game during that time.
Well, we all signed up for the podcast and now the docuseries with Disney Plus and a second season talking about somebody else's story. Like, is that what, like, all the support and all the people saying, like, this is never going to get old? Is that what maybe sparked the podcast?
What inspired the podcast was I think as a producer, I realized that this story is profound. It's one of those where you tell people about it and you're like, what? Tell me more. They want the details. It's and I also knew how alone I felt. And I just thought, well, by sharing this, maybe somebody else out there will hear it that has gone through something similar or can relate to any part of my story and not feel so alone.
Yeah.
And not feel like they're the only ones going through this, because that's what's really tough when you're going through a difficult situation and you feel like you're all by yourself and nobody can understand, what it is you're going through.
And the weight of that isolation.
Yes, for sure. And so when you do hear other stories with other people, it just, I don't know, for me anyway, it helped me not feel so completely alone or naive, or any of those things.
Oh, and I'm so sure it will and has done that, as you've already learned with how many people you've had on second season and how many people have unfortunately found themselves in a similar predicament. And I actually had just re-listened to the episode on your podcast where you had, I believe it was a betrayal trauma specialist on. Mm-hmm. And that episode, I feel like alone, I immediately started sending it to friends that it was a betrayal trauma in a different way. Like, I hadn't ever really realized how much betrayal trauma, A, I didn't know that was a thing. And B, the way she so wonderfully explains how you once saw the world a certain way. And this big betrayal happens, and now your worldview is shattered. And so how do you go about putting those pieces back together to put your new world into perspective? And thinking back to in high school, which I know is like trivial, but I know I have friends that went through some pretty big betrayal traumas, like right after high school in terms of relationships. And I know how they were thrown for quite a few years and felt like, why can't I get over this? Like,
Right.
it was a high school thing. Like, why can I not just get over this? But hearing that episode, I was like, immediately want to send it to them all to be like, look, what you experienced was real, and the reason that you had a hard time putting those pieces back together. Can you speak to it all, like your experience learning about the betrayal trauma and
So
how that
I didn't
affected
know
you?
betrayal trauma was a thing either. And I was really fortunate that I had a friend, not fortunate that he went through something similar, but he had found this betrayal trauma specialist. And so I met with her, and I still see her to this day
Amazing.
because I think these traumas stick with you for a long time. But also, I learned so much about myself. I think I'm healthier now than before I even went into this because I've done
amazing.
so much therapy. I think also learning that betrayal trauma is a real thing, and you can call it something when you
Yeah.
can name something, like,
Mhm.
okay, betrayal trauma. Oh, wow, that's a real thing. Okay, well, let's learn about it. Let's learn how it affects you. Let's learn how it, messes with your head and your nervous system. Um, I really appreciate that episode with Kim, the expert, because it does again let people know that are going through something like this that it's called something, that this is a
Yeah.
real thing.
And naming it has so much power.
Oh, yeah.
I just talked on an episode a couple episodes ago about how when in university I started having panic attacks, and I went into a therapist and they handed me a sheet that was like, anxiety presents in 2 different ways. And seeing it, I was like, oh my God, my life makes so much more sense. And it just, honestly, reading that and hearing that reduced it by 75%.
Learning about yourself is so underrated. Like, just understanding the way your brain ticks, like, and knowing that there's a name for it because you're not the only one going through it.
Mhm.
And people signing up to listen to a podcast about something you've experienced says a lot about the things that all of us have gone through to different capacities. It doesn't have to be the exact same situation, but if you can relate to something, that's why we need things like this. We need people to talk to. We need to be heard and to listen. Like, content and all that, like, absorbing it is kind of what gets you through the day.
I think it also helps with shame that you might be
Yes.
carrying. If you can name something, if you can understand it better, then hopefully you can let go some of the shame that surrounds that situation that you were in. Nobody really wants to talk about the fact that they were cheated on or, anything like that. Sometimes those topics are taboo, but with me at least, I did feel a lot of shame in the beginning. And then as I slowly got to realize that this was about my ex and his personality traits, it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
That really was when things took a turn for me, because a lot of times we sit there and we blame ourselves. Oh, it was me. I'm getting too old, not pretty enough, not thin enough, not smart, all these things. Well, no, it had nothing to do with me. He would have been this way regardless.
Yeah.
I just happened to be, the one who married him.
Do you still think about it? Like, because you guys it almost seemed like you were soulmates. You were, meant to be. And that's where I think it would personally, like, eat me up in that situation, is like, you never expected that. Why would you ever want to go through these things? Like, that's a waste of time, right? Like, you don't want to question the person that, you waited 20 years to be together.
Yeah.
Do you still think about it?
I don't have the same feelings that I used to. In the beginning, I really did. I thought we were soulmates. I believed everything that he told me. And we had a history and we had this amazing relationship in college. So why would I think anything was going to be different?
Absolutely.
But it was very different. And the person that I was with wasn't who I really thought he was.
Yeah.
And that's really devastating to find out. It's disappointing and it's devastating.
Absolutely. Well, for our listeners who maybe have not tuned in to the Betrayal series or podcast yet, would you mind giving a little summary? Obviously, we all know, but I realize we haven't quite said what it is that your husband was doing. I know, but maybe could we give them a little quick summary and teaser as to what the Betrayal docuseries on Disney covers?
So, I re-met my college sweetheart 20 years after we had dated. He was living in Georgia. I was living in California. We met in New York. We started talking again, and that old flame was completely rekindled. I mean, it was just like, what you said earlier, Caitlin. I mean, we were soulmates, and it was just all the stars were aligned, and, everything happened for a reason.
Yeah, when you're going through that going through your guys' rekindling, I could feel the love and the excitement and you did such a beautiful job telling the story. But yes, I can totally feel that pure, especially at the stage of life that you were at, yes, it's finally my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
our
exactly
time.
right. Yeah. And then we were married 6-7 years. And I came home one day and my ex-husband was sitting on the couch with the search warrant in his hand. And about 30 minutes later, he was arrested. The police showed up at our door and took him away in handcuffs, put him in the back of a cop car because he had sexually assaulted a high school student. He was a teacher at the time. And then a couple days after that, if that wasn't bad enough, then I find out that he had also been having many, many affairs with adult consenting women. So, I mean, we're talking 80 different people he was corresponding with. So to say that was a shock, is putting it mildly. I had no idea. Nobody had any idea that he was this type of person that would be this deceptive, such a manipulator, just lied to so many people all the time. He had put on this amazing persona of the perfect husband, a great teacher, a good father, a great friend. And we live in a small town, a small community, and nobody saw it. Nobody I knew saw it. I mean, my friends and family, his friends and family were just as shocked as I was. And so that helped things a little bit as well, because it wasn't like I felt like, oh, I was so naive and I saw this stuff and I just didn't want to face it. I never saw anything, and neither did many people.
Yeah, you weren't betrayed by his family and your family and friends as well. It's not like everybody was lying to you about what he was doing behind your back. He was lying to everybody.
And all the notes. The notes is what it kind of triggered me, because it's
really
the love smothering.
Yes.
And that, I mean, it's happened in past relationships that I've been in, where it's the love smothering where you're oh, there's no, this person loves me so much. I could never get anything better than this. And sometimes they tell you that, the love smothering that he did was, you look back and you're wow, that was very manipulative. And your dad seemed to catch that, right? He kind of caught that. And then for you, do you look back on that now and go, ooh, maybe I loved that. Why wasn't that genuine?
I think a lot of what he did, because he would leave me a note every morning by the coffee pot, or he would be checking in all day or send me sweet texts or emails. He was very, very thoughtful and always let me know he was thinking of me.
Which is what every woman wants.
Right. And, looking back on it now, is that love bombing, that term love bombing that you hear now? Yeah, it probably was. But I didn't feel it at the time because remember, I had this history with this person. I have pages of notes from when we were in college. So this was not atypical behavior for him. This is how things always were between us. And so I I didn't think of it as love bombing at the time. But now,
just
you know, I
beautiful
look
love.
back.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look back and how do you feel about it now?
Now I can see the manipulation. I think, you know, by keeping me feeling so loved and so cherished, it kept me from questioning a lot other things that I might have seen going on. Or not that I can think of anything specifically, but like, let's say he did stay at school an hour later, came home an hour later than usual. I just didn't think anything of it. I just never, ever, ever thought he would do that. Ever.
Because you trust him.
I mean, yeah, I trusted him.
That's what marriage should be too. You
That's
should be able to wholeheartedly, like I wholeheartedly trust my partner.
Mm-hmm.
I am the same way. I trust wholeheartedly he would never do anything to me like that in the exact same way you did with him.
It would have got me just the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's no like when you trust them fully because you've spent how many years building that trust. He did. So many years. You went back so far. So
and you're busy. Like who has the time? And they're like, you don't want to go and like snoop in their stuff.
No,
like, why would you? Who would want to be? No.
Right.
Like I couldn't imagine like spending like an hour a day that I would be like could literally do anything else and going through my phone. Like of course it like completely blindsided. I think it would blindside anybody.
Yeah. When I was 18, I was all up in my partner's phone, I will say. But
Were
as an
you?
adult, no. Yes. Oh,
not as an adult.
Would
Like-
I? Yes. You're asleep. Let me scroll, baby. Unhealthy. I never would advise. But now we're a confident woman who trusts.
But now
I would never.
that was like 12 years ago.
That's what you want. That's what you
Yes.
expect marriage to be. I waited until I was 42 to get married. You know, I was an adult. I was a grown up. I had had other relationships. I knew what I wanted. And it just, it blindsided me.
Thanks for listening to Good Girls Have Anxiety. If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow, and share, as that's the best way to help our little podcast grow.
And then following that, I don't know if you want to get into your personal life now or not. How has that carried with you into future relationships? How does trust look for you now?
Well, I always say the same answer, and that is I doubt I'm going to meet anybody as terrible as my ex was.
Oh, that's
I mean, if I end up
true.
in another relationship with a sociopath, psychopath, whatever, you know, crazy person, then I'm going to start questioning myself. So to answer that question, I want to still be able to trust people. I don't believe that everyone is like him. I really don't. I believe most people, at least people I try to surround myself around, are innately kind and good people.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to change the beautiful person that you are.
Exactly.
Just because somebody else.
But man, it takes a strong woman to not. So good for you to still have that view on the world, because that takes a strong, confident, smart woman to know that to be true, because that would be so hard to not just let that kind of skew your vision moving forward. So yeah, you should be really proud of yourself for still having that outlook.
Thank you. And, you know, that could take over your life, that fear of not, you know, of somebody not being honest with you, or, you know, not trusting that person, or, oh, they're on their phone. I wonder who they're talking to. I don't want to live like that. Talk about anxiety.
Oh, literally though, when I was going through my phone, it was before I had started therapy. Not my phone, his phone.
Yeah. Well,
and it was Andrew. It was my current husband. We met when we were 18. So same guy he knows. But yes, it's true. Like, talk about spiraling. That is just doing it to yourself. So you can't live like that.
how did anxiety show up like during and after for you?
Oh gosh, it was awful. It was physical. The anxiety was physical. I felt like I had an elephant just standing on my chest for, I don't know, probably a year after the initial shock. And then also that pit in your stomach and in your throat.
Yeah.
It also really messes with your nervous system. So I wasn't good when I would go out. I would try to go and hang out with my friends, but all of a sudden the anxiety would just engulf me and I would have to get out of there as fast as I
Yeah.
could.
Wow.
It's definitely taken some time. It takes away that feeling of being safe in the world when someone betrays you like that. So when you go back out into the world, it still kind of feels unsafe sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're questioning because you no longer necessarily trust that what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you lose your how do I say this? Because I mean, I've been in situations too where you don't trust your judgment anymore. The way that you look at people, the way you look at the world, and you're like, oh, that seems like a good person. Your judgment, your own self radar.
Mm-hmm.
Does that still show up?
Sorry, what was the question?
Just if you're meeting somebody new or you're dating somebody new and you think that oh, this seems like a nice person. Do you question yourself?
Definitely sometimes.
Still, yeah.
I mean, I think now I would take more time to get to know somebody. I thought because I had dated my ex in the past and we had such a good relationship that we weren't, falling back into reuniting so quickly. Yeah. So I think going forward, I would take more time because when we re-met, we were married a year later. So we didn't.
But when it feels like soulmates and you've been waiting too, I totally get why.
Yeah.
I guess it's bringing up for me friendships. So there's been many situations, especially into adulthood, where I've questioned my there's a word for this or a term for this, but it's judge of character. So it's I think that I'm this seems like a lovely person. I want to be their friend. Yes, this is a great friendship. If you were to cross me now, I would be devastated, girl. Absolutely, my heart would be shattered. And even you had friendships with women that you probably trusted, and you're we're good girlfriends, and then they did this to you, and you think that I'm just gonna pull this back to me because but I think that I used to think that I was a good judge of character, and into adulthood, I realized that it was not. I took people for face value. You tell me something, I believe you, and I trust you, and maybe I trust easily. And I've had to remind myself, don't trust people so easily. But then I don't want to be that person because I like that I trust people easily. And why should I have to change my trust in you just because you kind of suck? You know? Do you ever find even in friendships, do you feel how I'm feeling?
Yeah. Especially with men, and I hate to say that, but I've seen such a different side now to how some men behave and how they manipulate and lie. And I know women do it too, but my ex, I mean, I was angry with some of these women when I first found out, and especially some of the women that I knew that had affairs with him. But now I believe they were manipulated. They were lied to. I mean, yes, they made a choice, to be with a married man, probably not their finest hour, probably not something they're proud of, but I hope they don't carry shame with it because I think they were lured into something that
you are so beautiful for just saying that right now. To not blame the other women, even though they made a choice, you not holding anger and resentment for them. That says more about you than I think anybody. That's super cool.
I also feel like you see it clearly.
Yes.
You see Spence, your ex-husband, for what he was, a master manipulator.
Yes.
So very clearly he did it to you. You're a smart, very intelligent, very successful woman that, yes, he could absolutely do it to another as well. Just like it doesn't speak to your character, it doesn't speak to theirs. And I think that's what's so clear, that you have done a lot of work on yourself and you have done the deep dive because and I feel that, and I hope that it is so not a reflection of you, rather him. And so it's easy to then see that for the other women as well once you've really done that work inside.
Right. Well, and that's what, I mean, my biggest recommendation to anyone going through anything like this, whether it's betrayal by, a partner or a friend or a coworker. There is help out there. There's books, there's websites, there's therapy, and try to bring it all in because it's so helpful. And when you do find that clarity, the anxiety kind of dissipates a little bit.
What were the key things that helped you navigate that? Like, you just gave a good handful of examples of like tools in a toolbox that somebody could lean into. But what were the ones that you remember being defining ones that really helped you work through it?
That's a great question, Sam.
Thank you so much. I don't have many, but I'll take it.
A few things that worked for me, therapy, of course. I was doing it weekly and I needed it.
Is there a certain type of therapy, like EMDR?
No, it was talk therapy with the betrayal trauma specialist, but I would like to try EMDR.
I did it recently. I want to do an episode on it. Loved it. I did it because I had a traumatic birth with my first. And when I was very pregnant with my second, I was like, uh-oh, I'm screwed. I know I'm going to lay on that table and go full panic. And so I found a therapist that does EMDR, and it was... I don't know how it works. I told her I don't want to know how it works.
Right.
If it's a placebo me. Like, I just need something to work. And it worked. It is incredible. The way that it takes your trauma, I think it helps you reprocess it.
Right.
And so I no longer feel physical symptoms when I think of the first. And it happened immediately. So, like, thinking of Janie's birth the first time, I would feel physical symptoms. Like, I was right back there and it just felt still vivid. But then after EMDR, it no longer felt vivid. I no longer felt the physical. It doesn't erase what happened, but it just helps it feel manageable, like a part of me, but we've moved past it.
Right.
Yeah. So I strongly recommend it.
Yes. And anything that can help you feel like things are manageable is a great thing. I also got into meditation just because my mind was always racing and I just had to quiet down. And I had never been a meditator before, but I got an app and I'd put on a meditation and I would just lay there. And the thing about it is, you can't be too hard on yourself. Of course, your mind is going to wander and all of that, but you're still doing something to your brain when you meditate. I don't know what it is.
The whole point of meditation is being imperfect, but still continuing trying. Yeah. So your brain will wander and then just be like, it's okay. We're going back. Right. It's okay. The whole point is training your brain to notice when we've gone off track and bring it back center. That's the exercise itself. So the more you wander and the more you correct it, the better you're doing.
I keep hearing that, but I feel like it's a very special skill that I'm still working on. I'm going to my first wellness retreat in August. I know. I'm really excited but nervous because I'm like, what if I don't know how to meditate? But I know that that's the point.
That's the whole point.
That's the point. Just get into it. And my girlfriend, who it's her wellness retreat, that's her thing. She keeps saying it's okay. Sometimes it's going to go really well. Sometimes it's really going to go awful and it's not going to work. Or you think it won't work, but it did work. You're doing it right, regardless of how it happens.
Yes.
And, I'm just
sometimes I lay there and I'm on a thought pattern for 10 full minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, shit, I did it again. And then I pull myself back.
That's what I do.
And that's the whole point, is that oh, yeah, I'm in it. And that's what, the more you can do that, the more you train your brain to be able to focus in on, okay, I'm here, I'm present, I'm grounded.
Have you guys ever watched Life in Pieces?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the episode where Jen, ironically.
I have not.
Oh, you are going to laugh so hard. You have to.
You might love it.
So there's this one episode, Jen she keeps saying, oh, I'm just going to go meditate. She'll try to get away from the whole family. I'm going to go meditate. And they're so proud of her. Jen, oh, that's so great that you're meditating. And then her husband walks in and she's been playing some games on her phone every time. Candy Crush. And she's gotten to the highest levels of Candy Crush. That's my brain. My brain is Candy Crush. But, you know, we'll work on it.
Meditating will help you no longer be Candy Crush up top.
I'll take your words for it.
Life in Pieces is actually a really funny
It's
show.
so good. Yeah. You have a cat.
I do. And she just decided to join us.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Good Girls Have Anxiety. And our next guest is, what's your cat's name?
She was Callie for California. I know. She was definitely my therapy cat during all of this.
It's cats are so good for therapy.
Incredible.
She's beautiful.
Oh,
Thank
and then
you.
What do you have to say, Callie?
Yeah, come on.
Tell us what
Callie,
you
go
got to say,
ahead.
girl.
Tell them all about it.
Give us a meow or a purr.
Just a straight face.
She's really cute.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Aww.
She's had a lot of tears in her coat.
Yeah. That's so sweet. How old is she?
I think she's 8.
Oh,
8 or 9.
Cats live forever, so
Look at
that's
her
lovely.
snuggle.
I know.
Oh, she looks young. She's so sweet.
Yeah,
So
she
sweet.
is.
Well, do you mind me asking what we have going on now? Like, are you still producing reality television?
Yeah, I'm still producing, which I love.
Incredible.
Things are a little slow in our industry right now, but
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
it's always been an up and down
I
thing.
mean, here's an opportunity to make a docuseries about 2 girls trying to make their own podcast.
There you go.
Hey, girl.
I love it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's really exciting. This was such a pleasure for us. I couldn't believe that you even replied and that we
Oh my gosh.
rescheduled.
Truly
when you were-
shocked.
Well,
but so grateful.
The name of the podcast got me. I had to do it.
This
It's
is
so
my-
good.
Caitlin's going to
Thank
lie
you.
in bed at night and feel so filled with joy
Yes, I
because you just
honestly
said
will.
that.
Because but I know, and I've said this a lot of times. I know that we have something special here, and having Sam on now is so special. And I know the things that we can do with this podcast. And you know what that feeling when you know that you have something good?
Mm-hmm.
And that gave me the confidence to reach out to you. And it's going to give me the confidence to reach out to more people. And I know that this is a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful that you were here for the roots, the bare bones. Because, girl, we going to be as big as Giggly Squad. We're going to do some
love it.
podcast swaps
Manifest
with
it.
Giggly. Who knows? Maybe there is going to be a docuseries about making the podcast.
There you go.
We're so excited. And hopefully that we can continue to stay in touch.
You guys are a delight and just wonderful. I've had the best conversation. It's been so fun. So thank you both very, very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Jen.
Jen. If you ever need a costumer, call me, beat me.
I will. If you ever need a producer.
Yes.
Girl.
Hey.
I mean, we're going
More
to be
likely.
big.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to Good Girls Have Anxiety, the podcast. Thank you to our special guest, Jen Faison, the host of the Betrayal Podcast, as well as a docuseries on Disney+. So make sure you go ahead and listen to that. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Good Girls Have Anxiety _podcast and listen to us on Spotify and hopefully everywhere you get your podcast eventually, because we're still working on that stuff. Thank you, Andrew. As well as YouTube. And you'll hear us again. Thanks so much, guys. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. That's it for this episode of Good Girls Have Anxiety. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and review. If your brain's still spiraling, honestly, same. Follow us on Instagram at Good Girls Have Anxiety, email us at goodgirlshaveanxiety@gmail.com, and send it to a friend. We appreciate every share, download, and engagement. Take a breath, unclench your jaw. You're doing great. And remember, being anxious does not make you broken. It makes you human. Okay, love you, bye.